Welcome to the Car Guys. This week, part 2 of our DBS Superleggera review.
This is the point where I get to test the car, and then we're going to have a little conversation and compare it to the other cars in its class, the 812 and the Bentley Continental GT. And then we're going to tell you which one we think is the best.
This is how you do a Super GT. Look at this car. The DBS is a fantastic looking Grand Tourer. Look at the shape of it. Beautiful sweeping bonnet, details on the lights. You know, the Bentley Continental's obviously got beautiful lights as well, but these are sleek and very sophisticated. Famous Superleggera script, which of course you remember from the DB5s and DB6s. This is Petland Green, which is actually a Q colour, but I think this dark green metallic really suits the shape of this car. And then look at this, look at the haunch on this car with this crease running along the whole length, but when it bulges out here and the crease comes out, you can see it in the wing mirrors. Look at that. Everything then swoops down to this little carbon fibre wing which sits here. I do like the way it swoops round. I like the new Aston Martin style of script, although you can get that in this sort of like almost stone-like material. That's a really cool option.
This is such an amazing looking car. It is so handsome. I think this is probably much better looking than the 812 or the Bentley for that matter.
The front of this car, we've got real beauty. You've obviously got the classic Aston Martin badge and the nose. It's a beautiful sweeping carbon fibre bonnet that leads down to this aggressive grille, carbon fibre all around it. But look at the effort that's gone into it. We're talking about real nice moulding. It's very, very hard plastic. This is how you do it. This is how you do a grille on a modern car. I think it looks absolutely fabulous. Okay, watch this door close. See that? This car needs soft closed doors. I don't really like the way though that they're still using these old door handles. I mean, I had these on my V8 Vantage and I think that was a 2003 car. Still using them. So as you can see, the boot space within the DBS is actually not as large as I expected. You'd probably be able to get a couple of small bags in there. It's quite an odd shaped hole to actually fit things through. It's not entirely square, it's got this wavy line on it, and this area here isn't actually that tall. You wouldn't be able to get a big bag in here, you'd have to put that on the back seat. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the size of the boot on the DBS. To open the bonnet of your DBS, you have to find the bonnet release. Now believe me, I had to go deep into the manual to find this because it is not obvious at all. Just look where it's located. Steering wheel, dashboard, side of the dashboard with the door open. There we go, little button tucked all the way in there. And there you go, the 5.2 litre V12 twin turbo engine that powers this DBS. Gives you 900 Newton meters of torque and 714 brake horsepower. You can see the carbon fibre bonnet though, that makes it so light. It's a bit of a monster, this one. This is quite a neat little feature though. You know how a lot of cars, when you open them, they sort of bounce on the hinges and then come back and whack you in the face? Not the Aston Martin. They've got a very clever hinge system in here, which means that when you open the doors, they open outwards and then slightly up. But they seem to have a memory in them that means you can push them to whatever angle you want and they just stay there, like that, or like that, or like that. Nice little touch. If you get your car spec'd at the Q branch, these DBS signs can be replaced with a little Q badge. That is seriously cool, and that's what I would have. A lot of people don't like these wheels. I have no idea why. I absolutely love them. They look like they're going at 100 miles an hour when they're standing still. They're diamond cut. I just think they set off the lines of the car really well. I think they give it a real purposeful stance. One thing that is quite noticeable about all modern Aston Martins, the DB11 was the same, but the DBS really highlights it. You do feel very much like you sit in the car, but everything around you is very high, including the door sills. Look at this. When I close this, you see, look. There's not much distance here. It's very, very high up, and that translates also to the windscreen, which is very much more like an armoured car slit. The 812, for example, has a much greater piece of glass in front of you. Any 911s, you will notice the difference immediately. The DBS and the DB11 have got extremely high dashboards. The steering wheel sits high, all the sills are high, which means that the glass itself is compressed, giving you less visibility. Let's have a look at the interior of this car. We've got this large center console. You've got your main drive buttons here. No emotion control unit anymore, remember? You don't push a bejeweled lozenge into the dashboard like you used to. Just below it, you've got temperature controls, heated seats, the cooling of the seats, the heated front screen, the heated rear screen, air conditioning, those sort of things. Then below that, you've got the main entertainment systems, so you've got navigation, radio, the media selection input devices. You've got this stuck on tablet here thing, which anyone who knows me knows that I hate these sort of tablet things. You have a traditional iDrive-y type AMG Mercedes turny knob. You also have this touchpad area, which you can use to not only scroll around and activate things, you can also draw shapes on it and it will interpret them. My worry about this is it's very, very Mercedes. So if it was me, I would kind of junk this whole bit and focus on something very bespoke and Aston Martin if possible. It does look quite futuristic in here, which I do like. There's way too many sort of areas in this dashboard that will collect bits. It looks like dust and bits of crisps and everything would collect in all this area. If you want to access your cubby holes, you actually use an electric motor to get in there. Why are you doing that? I'm quite happy moving it myself or lifting it up. It's useful having the space, particularly as you don't have a glove box at all in this car. The seats are extremely comfortable, as you'd expect in a Grand Tourer. Steering wheel is actually square. I really like it. I think Jason, when he drives it, is going to absolutely hate it because he hated the flat bottom of the Audi RS6. But I find it a good size, and I think it's very, very comfortable and easy to use. We've got two roller switches which are used to control things like the volume. On the right side it controls flicking through the various screens. You have suspension mode buttons on the left here, which takes you through the different levels of suspension and sportiness. On the right you've got the switch, the S switch, to take you through the main driving modes: Sport, Sport Plus and GT. You've got nice metal big paddles, and although the quality of the switchgear is a little bit plasticky, it does all work, it does all feel very solid. It's also a little bit disappointing to see that the hammerhead shark shaped door handles from the DB11 have been brought straight across. Kind of would prefer a car this expensive to have maybe its own bespoke details. But it does at least feel pretty substantial in here. There's no rattles or squeaks. It feels a little bit cramped because of this enormous transmission tunnel and because everything is so high, but I am at least ensconced in what sort of feels like a space-age fighter jet. Today we are not only back in the DBS Superleggera with this gentleman.
Hello.
Based on the fact that we've driven all three over the last few days, we're going to compare the DBS Superleggera, the Bentley Continental GT and the 812 Superfast.
Can I start with a steering wheel rant?
I knew you were going to do this.
I just don't understand it. Why can they just not be round?
What's wrong with square?
It's not even square. This is a palumboid or some weird thing, isn't it?
All right for the Aston Allegro.
Well, yeah. You do feel like a grown-up instantly in this car, don't you? It does make you feel like a proper grown-up.
Yeah. Now that you're sat in this car and you've obviously driven the 812 and the Bentley, the same as me, what would you say in terms of comparison between the interiors of those three cars?
Well, the quality is definitely there in this car. I don't like the design. It does feel dated, but you know that you've spent money on it. The leathers are very soft. The plastics are all quite nice, and when you touch them, you don't recoil in horror.
Now, I have a slight issue with this centre console, and to be honest, with some of the sort of complex, a little bit too finicky the design, there's too many angles for me, too many shapes in the cockpit, which I think means that it will date more quickly than the older cars.
You mean the fact it already looks dated and this car's a week old?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit of a problem. My initial thoughts were that it looked quite starshipy and futuristic.
Yeah.
And I think it probably still does.
Yeah.
However, the more I look at the centre part of this and the way that this swoops around and then down, the more it looks a little bit like lady parts.
I knew you were going to say that. It does look like lady parts. Why does it look like?
How did no one notice this? Bentley does have lots of lovely materials in it, but there are also some quite nasty plastics. And this, even when there is plastic, it feels better.
Feels nice.
It is a nice, high quality interior. It definitely does not have the wow factor of the Bentley.
No.
That feels like a high-end motor yacht. The 812 again is sporty in the way this is, but I do think it's a far superior cockpit to this.
We get berated for loving Ferrari. Oh, you're just a Ferrari, boys. You don't like anything else.
It's because they're good.
It's because they're smashing it. That's the trouble, is they are actually smashing it.
If you're looking at Super GT and you're looking at that beautiful combination of luxury but also sportiness, it's 812.
Yeah.
Looks then, between the three cars.
I'm going to go controversial here.
Okay.
This wins.
Do you know what? I agree.
Doesn't it, though?
I mean, I like the 812.
Yes.
But I don't like it as much as the
No
F12.
F12.
The Bentley, no. That's very much the ugly duckling out of the trio. This is a fantastic looking car.
It's an amazing looking car.
I mean, it's a fantastic looking Aston Martin, but it's probably one of the best looking cars you can buy today.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It is a proper head turner, this car.
Remember that bit in Casino Royale where they get to the casino and James Bond comes in and finds that there's a dinner jacket already on the bed for him that Vespa Linda's already bought, and he goes, I've already got a dinner jacket, and she goes, there are dinner jackets and there are dinner jackets. This is the latter.
Yes.
This is that dinner jacket.
It is.
This definitely is the winner, the looks winner. The head turning winner is this, without a doubt.
Shadow of a doubt.
Beautiful car.
Nailed it. And it's cold.
Oh, stop start.
It's your favourite thing.
Yeah.
Clearly can't turn that off permanently then, can you?
So quick comparison, stop start technology.
We're on indicators in a minute, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll get there in a minute. Ferrari wins because you can turn the stop start off forever, whereas the other two you got to keep doing it every journey and then it feels like you're stalling all the time.
So should we talk about indicators?
This has got a proper indicator stalk which works when you use it. You see, that's a lot of power.
It's a lot of power. It's not as frightening as I remember it though.
Yeah, but you were in GT mode, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's the difference. So that was the amount of thrust in the Grand Touring mode. At some point we will demonstrate what it's like in, what are you in now? Sport Plus.
This is the bit, ladies and gentlemen,
If I should
where
die-
we cut to Damian going,
Easy. Hell.
that's growly, isn't it? That's nasty growly noise. I'm loving that.
That's what you
I'm
get.
loving that.
That's because this is a bounder's car, isn't it? This is
A CAD's car. I'm truly
there's
enjoying that.
A lot of pops and bangs with the old
There is.
Sport Plus.
I mean, it's quick. It is quick. It's not 812 quick.
I think it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
I'm not
812
sure.
quick. I think it's got more torque. I think you get more of a shove, and I think as it builds on speed, it does feel. To me, it feels very similar.
Having just experienced what flat to the floor feels like, I'd be much happier doing flat to the floor in this than the 812.
Definitely. Yeah. The 812 is a tricky son of a bitch. You still get a bit of wiggle.
Yeah.
There's still a little hips action going on with the 812, whereas this just puts down the power and goes.
This
Initiate the beans. I can't move my head.
I'm not being funny. Up round the top of that rev range, that is some serious. That is some serious stuff, isn't it? That's kind of dizzying acceleration. That is.
Yeah, I mean that's
like 911 turbo.
This is what Aston Martins have been crying out for years.
Yeah, that's a proper piece of kit.
to love it, haven't you? You've got to love that.
It feels its weight. It doesn't feel sprightly. The 812 feels sprightly on its toes. The difference between this and the 812 is the rear steer.
Yes, exactly.
That's really what makes it feel like a nimble, light little car.
0 to 60 time.
Yep.
3.4 seconds, 0 to 60.
That's quick.
812 Superfast. 2.9.
2.9. See, the Bentley is definitely third at the moment out of the three.
Yes.
But so just to give us an idea, because that is a stonking power plant in that Bentley.
Yeah, but it's pushing a stonking amount of weight. It's over 2.2 tons.
Yeah.
You've got the four-wheel drive, which gives it great traction, but it's only 3.6 0 to 60.
Right. So
I say only. That's still a phenomenal time.
That is still impressive.
Yeah. This is 3.4.
Right.
Only weighs just under 1,800.
So the Bentley's got 500 kilos on this, half a ton more than this.
Yeah, and it's only 0.2
of a second, which you couldn't see or feel.
How much torque do you think this has got?
Well, we've got 700 plus horsepower, V12.
715 brake horsepower, twin turbo V12.
I mean, it's got to be 500-600, hasn't it? Something
664 foot-pounds of torque, which makes it a rather magical 900 Newton meters.
Gearbox. So we're running an 8-speed ZF.
Yep.
Rear-mounted.
Yep.
Transmission. I still, because I'm old, think that 8 is way more than you ever need.
It is way more.
Double clutch, obviously, so it's super smooth in and out the gears.
I think it's slightly slower than the Ferraris. Ferrari is a crisper change, and in the Bentley, because everything is so quiet and refined, you almost don't notice the gear changes in the Bentley. And you certainly never really want to change the gears yourself. In the scale of the GT cars, this is kind of halfway there, I think. It's got a bit of the sportiness of the Ferrari, but also some of the more waftiness of the Bentley. So which wins? Well, Ferrari for me, obviously. So Ferrari first, this second, Bentley third. Yeah, I think so. But it is very, very close. I mean, we're talking nano-tenths. Yeah. Stability of this is far more stable than the 812. The 812 was skipping about a bit. Jiggly. Alive. Bentley, I would say, a bit more leaden. Yes. This is a good middle ground. If you don't want anything, if you don't want to be bounced around all over the place, you'll have to concentrate continuously, but you don't want to feel like you're driving a lorry. That's probably a bit harsh. Yes, it is. Brakes. The brakes on this are very, very impressive, Porsche-like impressive. Exactly, no bigger compliment. 410mm ceramic brakes this thing's got as standard. And they instantly come on. There's no kind of, they're on a bit more, they're on a bit more, they're a bit grabby, but that's ceramics. The Bentley, which is the heaviest car in the trio, still has steel brakes. Yeah. Considering how much speed the Bentley could pile on, the brakes did feel like slightly inadequate. Yeah, Ferrari brakes were not as good as this. No. But they did have better feel. Yeah, and that's quite a rare thing with ceramic brakes, to get the feel that the Ferrari has in it. So this wins for stopping power of brakes, but Ferrari wins for feel of brakes. For feel of brakes, and Bentley, unfortunately, again, last place. Pulls up last place. Yeah. So road noise. Very low. On the cruise. Yes. 8 versus 812 versus Bentley. We're sitting here doing 70 miles an hour, and it's lovely, and it's peaceful, it's quiet, and you can have a conversation. And you could cruise for thousands of miles, and it's solid as a rock. Bentley was quieter and probably a little bit smoother in terms of 812 versus this. I'd say they're pretty much the same. Yeah, I think so. Maybe the 812 is a bit stiffer. Felt a little bit more, and road noise was quite high in that 812, if you remember. Boot space? Rubbish. I mean, there's literally, we could opine for hours on the various different capacity in litres of boot space, but what they should have done is lost the rear seats, made the boot bigger. There's a reason why the Bentley Continental has a sort of big rounded ass, and it's to fit bags in. So boot space on the 812 was pretty big. Yeah, it's fairly... Bentley was pretty big. Yeah. This one loses.
let's talk about the infotainment system on the three cars.
Okay.
Bentley had that lovely,
beautiful big touchscreen that you could have hidden entirely.
Hidden entirely.
You couldn't even tell it was there. Classy and amazing. Now we come to this one. I was surprised that this tablet-y thing, which has been sort of crudely gaffer taped to the dashboard, that's
awful.
not even a touchscreen.
It's not a touchscreen.
No, so not like, you know, unlike the more modern rivals, you've got very feather-like touch buttons down here, but the screen itself isn't. Also, a combination of these buttons and this Mercedes-derived
Twiddle-knobby thing.
Twiddle-knobby thing. So that's how you interact. But also, there's a touchpad here, which you can also use to interact. So you can use feather-like buttons, twisty knobby thing, and touchpad to interact with the screen. 3 ways of interacting with it, and none of them are as good as a touchscreen. Now, I don't want to sit in a £225,000 Aston Martin and rest my hand on the entertainment controls from a C-Class Mercedes. Price-wise, stocked Bentley that we drove was about 210,000.
Yeah.
This is 250,000. An 812.
300.
300. Yeah, with the right options, 300.
I have to say, in this marketplace, I'm struggling with the 300,000.
Well, let me give you a bit of perspective, though. The 812 is £50,000 more than this, with a sort of similar spec levels.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of money, right?
It does.
But after a couple of years, how much do you think the difference is between the value then? 812s, bear in mind, sold out. You cannot buy one new. Okay, they sold out 5-year allocation. They sold out in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
I think the 812 in 2 years
will go up.
Well, I'm not sure if it will go up. I think
you won't lose much.
Values will be extremely strong on the 812s because you just can't get them.
From the rarity point of view, yeah, you can't get them. That's true.
Whereas I think this is going to take a big drop, and I think the Bentley even bigger.
Oh, Bentley's going to take a massive drop. I'm very impressed. I really like it. I think it's a great GT car. It's not as sprightly a sports car as the 812. It's not as much as a cruising barge as the Bentley is. It's a nice compromise between the two. I don't think residuals are going to be amazing. I hate the boot space, and I think the steering wheel is frankly ridiculous.
Would you give up with the damn steering wheel?
Oh, sorry. But other than that, no, I really like it.
I agree. I think it's beautiful. It's really fast. I love everything about it, apart from, I think the interior is a bit dated, but it is a supreme GT car. I love it far more than the Bentley. And in terms of a purchasing decision, I think 812 for me still wins.
Yeah.
So as an overall car, as an overall ownership prospect, the 812 I think is the winner, but this is so close as to be almost indistinguishable.
Yeah, this is definitely the better looking car. I would rather open the garage to see this than an 812, but I'd rather drive an 812.
So there you go.
Done.
It's the car guy's verdict. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this full review of the Aston Martin DBS.
Don't forget to leave comments, ding that notification bell for when we've got another video uploaded. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.